Shapes in Illustrator can have open paths or closed paths. You can always take a closed path object and open it up. You can take an open path and join two anchor points to close it up. So let me show you how to do that. Let's get the rectangle tool here and let's give some color. I'm going to make sure that my fill color is at the top, and instead of white I'll go over here to the swatches panel and let's say I'll make it green, and I'll click over here on the stroke symbol and let's make it blue of some sort, maybe cyan. And I want this a little thicker to see it better. Now this is showing me 1 point, so I'll click, maybe I'll do, let's say 7 or 8 points. Incidentally, sometimes if you want to change the thickness of the stroke, if you don't see the little drop down over here, you can always go over here in the panel area and you can click and change the stroke here. So if you change the number here, it'll change up here on top of the screen and vice versa. Okay, so let's just draw, and I'll just draw this rectangle there. Okay, so now I have a green fill and I have kind of a cyan stroke. Let me just get rid of that panel. And because I drew a regular rectangle, this is now a closed path. What if I want to open it? Maybe what I want to do is, let's say, take one of these anchor points there and kind of split it. Maybe open this up a little bit. What you do is, first let's get the direct selection tool. You could just press A as the shortcut, or you could click it over there and click this anchor point, or a different anchor point if you want. Now, when you do that, on the control panel you get all these different little symbols, and you see this one over here has like a little curve with the scissors in it that's cut path at those anchor points. So click that, and it doesn't look like much has happened until you put your mouse pointer on there and you start dragging around, and now you see that where there used to be just one anchor point, now there are two. Now click on the background here to deselect, and you can see here's what I mean by an open path is the stroke is just going around where the path is. There's a fill, and there's just really no stroke over here, so the fill is just kind of sitting there floating like that. Okay, now let's draw a shape, and we'll kind of do the opposite. And maybe before I do that, I want to choose a different color there for the stroke and a different color for the fill, just to make this obvious. Okay, that's good. And now I'll get the pen tool. If you need to, click and hold on whatever tool is over there. I'll get the pen tool, and I'm just going to click, 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 and you see as soon as I have a third segment, it starts filling it. And I think I'm just going to end it like right over there. And I'm just going to deselect it. So I could use one of these and click on the background, or press Control-Shift-A or Command-Shift-A on the Mac. And let's say maybe I close and save this file, and then I come back a couple of days later and I say to myself, I really want to go and take the end of this segment and join it up with that segment. So get the direct selection tool, zoom in on this if you need to, grab this anchor point, drag it on top of this one, and you see it kind of snaps. So right now you have one anchor point on top of another, but only one of them is selected. You have to have both of them selected in order to join them. Now if you only have one selected, if you take a look up here on this control bar, now here's the tool we used just before to cut path. This one here will join them, but you see it's grayed out. It's grayed out because only one is selected. So what you do is, let's marquee select. Put your mouse pointer somewhere over here and just drag a little marquee box like that. That selects both of those anchor points. Now you have this one here is available. Connect the points, click, and now it's connected. And how do you know? Because now when you take this anchor point and you drag around, even if you click on the blank page and reselect, there's only one. There's an it instead of a them because you joined it. You might have noticed over here, this little tool here, this will remove an anchor point. So let's say if I decide, I really don't want this little line here, I just want to get rid of one of these anchor points, click on one of those anchor points, or any anchor point, doesn't matter, and now click that, and it removes that anchor point. Because it removes the anchor point, the next two segments join up as best they can. There is another way to remove anchor points, and kind of a similar way to add anchor points. You may have noticed when you were using the pen tool if you click and hold the pen tool, you have these two tools to add an anchor point or delete an anchor point. So if you choose the delete anchor point tool, that's just another way of using this. You could click on any anchor point, even if the object isn't selected, to remove the anchor point. To add one, you simply come back in here, choose Add Anchor Point Tool, and you can click anywhere on a line segment, anywhere on a curve if you have a curve, and that'll give you a new one. Now, all this is doing right now is it's creating anchor points. It's not moving them. That's why the shapes aren't changing. You actually have to go back to the Direct Selection tool and then start moving those around. You actually have to drag them. If you want these new anchor points or any of the old ones to be curves, come back, click and hold on the pen tool, get the Convert Anchor Point tool, and when you put your mouse pointer on one of those, you can kind of drag, and when you drag out an anchor point with the Convert tool, that turns a straight line segment into a curved segment. So you could really change one thing into another as long as you know which tool to use.